Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show on December the 2nd, a Wednesday, 2020. And the Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you every night by Omni True Value Hardware, Long Island's largest rock salt provider. Are you getting ready for winter? Because Omni True Value is ready with as the largest provider of rock salt on Long Island, and not just rock salt, but mag ice melting pellets and flakes, Petalo premium snow and ice melter, biomelt, geomelt, along with spreaders, shovels, snow blowers, and so much more. So be sure you head to Omni True Value Hardware, 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, just north of the Southern State Parkway, 631-756-1125. And the website is omnitruevalue.com. Hello there. Doesn't Joe have a
Hi.
fabulous background, everybody? I mean, seriously, that is a fabulous background.
Well, I'm getting ready because I've got a whole slew of over the next week library talks as we talk about the Geminid meteor shower a week from this coming Sunday night, and so I figure, well, I might as well get a little spacey, and this is about as spacey as I can find or can
Yeah,
get.
that's pretty spacey.
Yeah, I have some interesting statistics for you um, concerning the fact that we're coming off of the warmest November in the 169 year history of Central Park.
Really, it was
5
the warmest on record?
5.2 degrees warmer than average, and that actually supplants November 2015 by 2/10 of a degree. 16 days, Joe, in November had highs in the 60s or the 70s, and that was only one fewer than the record that was set in 1931.
Whoa.
And I said to myself, well, if we had such a warm November, how would does this have any correlation in terms of how much snow we might see in the upcoming winter season? And so I went back over the records at Central Park, and the first thing that jumped out at me. Number one, there's only nine times in the 169 years have we had a November where the temperatures averaged 4 or more degrees above normal. Nine times. And the most interesting thing to me was that prior to 1950, it was almost non-existent. There were only 2 years, 1948 and 1931, where the temperatures were 4 or more degrees above normal in the month of November at Central Park. And during the 20th century, this only happened 5 times in Central Park's history, 5 times that it was 4 degrees or more above normal. Would you believe in the first 20 years of the 21st century, we've already matched that? We've already had in the first 20 years of this century, 5 Novembers averaging 4 or more degrees above normal. That to me, that's if that doesn't tell you anything about global warming or climate change, or maybe a combination of global warming and also the heat island effect in New York City and Manhattan.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really a telling fact. To think that before 1950, this was about as rare as a dodo bird. This happening November 4 degrees or more above normal, and now first 20 years of the 21st century, 5 of those 20 years have been above normal by 4 or more degrees in the month of November.
That's pretty telling. Now 15 followed the December that followed was incredibly warm. That was the Christmas Eve in the 70s, all-time record high. Didn't stop us from having a major snowstorm that year in January, and a
Absolutely.
couple of other storms after that. Uh,
Well, out of
cer-
the nine, not including this year, out of the 9 previous times that we have had 4 degrees or higher in terms of the average temperature in November at Central Park, out of those nine, 7 of the 9 have ended up with not just below normal snowfall, but much below normal snowfall. I'm talking about, for example, in 7 of the 9 cases, again, only 2 of the 9 have had above normal snowfall. In the 7 cases where it was below normal,
right.
the amount of snow that fell at Central Park in those years after the warm November, 10.1 inches or 39.3% of normal. And even when you include the two cases where snowfall ended up above normal, 1948 and 2015, the average for all 9 cases, 16.7 inches or 65% of normal. Now, you brought up 2015, and that was a good point. 2015, virtually the whole winter was bundled up into one big storm, the biggest snowfall ever in New York City history, 27.5 inches falling in one snowstorm, January 22nd, 23rd, 2016. 1948, another similar case, one huge snowstorm, not number one, but number 7 on the list, a total of 16 inches of snow. That ranks number 7 in one-day snowfall totals at Central Park. So even if we end up with, you say to yourself now, well, this doesn't bode well for lots of snow in Central Park for this year. Yet, there's still about a 22% chance that we could get one whopper of a storm that could more than make up for the whole winter season.
Right. Right.
So there's the hat that you can hang on for all of you snow lovers out there. Although 7 out of 9, that comes up to about 77% probability of below normal snowfall, at least in New York City and Central
Right. Well,
Park.
past performance is no guarantee of future outcomes, but sometimes that's the only statistic you have to look, the only thing you have to go by. Uh, Clearly, if you want to look at 15, 16, and the warmth from November extended into December, that does not appear to be the case this time around. At least when you look at everything that's going on now and kind of look ahead to through the first half of the month. The pattern clearly has changed temporarily, and you can thank I think the development of my lord, the North Atlantic oscillation is negative, the Arctic oscillation is negative. So you've got two of those players in the teleconnections that are telling you that the pattern this time around, at least to start the month of December, is different. And we do have a very interesting case situation coming up for Saturday, which to me boils down to a very simple uh, one simple thing, and that is if you look at the European and you look at the NAM and you look at the upper air, which we are going to do, the uh, northern the northern part of that jet stream phases with the southern energy that's coming out, and it brings down some colder air and makes it fairly close for uh, the immediate coast, and it won't even be close for inland areas if the European and the NAM are correct. Uh, but if it winds up not phasing and staying separate, then you're going to wind up with what the GFS has, which is basically a low that comes out from the south, and we get into some rain. We get some rain later Friday night and on Saturday, and then the low goes away, and it just turns colder and drier behind it. So it's a pretty interesting, but it is an interesting setup because this time of year, oftentimes you don't really have, when we have snow in late November and early December, it usually doesn't come with an Arctic air mass. I mean, you usually have borderline cold, and you're trying to create what I always call do-it-yourself cold air with these very cold upper features that develop. And this situation for Saturday would be no different than that. But we'll certainly take a look. Let me just tell everybody. First of all, welcome. I was on a road trip yesterday, driving back up. Took 85 north, Joe, which was a beautiful ride. Once you get into North Carolina, and into 81, I drove through snow showers on the way up 81, right up past Harrisburg. Nothing that was problematic, but I could see the low visibilities out to the west, and but the again the mountain scenery was just spectacular. So there's another road to write down on your list of roads to travel one day.
It started out this morning at 50, yesterday morning at about 52, 54. By the end of the day, it was down in the mid 30s here.
Right.
And
Well,
my wife, I know my wife is watching right now.
yes, she's on the
And
chat
there's
board.
one, excuse me?
She's on the chat board.
I know she's on the chat board, but I know she's watching. And dear, what is the thing that I asked that we would do this afternoon? And you said we'll put it off until I come home from shopping. and that is turn off the water in the garage for the hose out in front of the house, which was dripping last night. So no problems last night. Temperature will stay above freezing, but tonight most definitely it's going to be a different story. We're going to be going down into the 20s, so maybe she could
And,
just
and by the
maybe she
way,
could just
when you
run out and
those are you?
uh,
I lost your audio there for a second.
I just saying it's a maybe she can run out while right now and just go into the garage and turn the nozzle or whatever, or turn the valve and turn the water off. Uh,
While you were in the 50s yesterday morning, to let you know, I woke up yesterday morning in just north of Atlanta in Marietta, Georgia. It was 28, and I had snow pellets all over my car. And up
yes,
in North Georgia, some places got a coating to an inch or so. And I've got the snow amounts, the snow map too. This upper low actually was pretty impressive. Got to give credit though to WPC, because when we were talking, when was it, on Sunday, with their probability of 8 inches or more in and around the Cleveland area. Well, they hit that in a bullseye because they got anywhere from 8 to 18 just east of Cleveland. There's a small patch that got 18 inches, just amazing, all from that upper low and a little bit of Lake Erie enhancement. Let me just remind everybody, those of you on the chat board that are on my weather platform on Patreon, a weather Zoom will follow this live stream at 9 o'clock Eastern time. So I will put the Zoom link up for you once Joe and I are done here. So uh, just bear that in mind. Hopefully, you can join in on the live weather Zoom at 9 o'clock, because we'll have the NAM coming out, so we'll be able to take a look, see if that gives any clues. And Mr. Rayo, your job tonight, if you can do this, is we should be getting the intermediate European. So your job is to look
yes,
at the intermediate European so we can check to see if it's still on the same page that it was earlier today.
right.
With the, I don't know, did you get to see the European at all today?
I did look at the regular the 12Z,
Yeah. Well,
and
one of these models, is going to be either very right or very wrong, one way or the other.
well, I think that regardless of whether or not um, the cold air sweeps in. I think the cold air sweeping in aloft. I said to a friend of mine who is also somebody Pete Bergman. He said, "I wonder if you're going to change over to snow before it's all over on Saturday." And I said, quite honestly, I think it's going to be cold enough upstairs, but I think down here, I think it's going to stay just mild enough for
Well,
the precipitation to,
well, I would just say this is a top-down event. So if you've got the intensity of the precip, that's what will correct the bottom. So that's the big question: is the intensity of the precip, and the European certainly implies that you would have the intensity of the precip, the with that phased look. But let's roll along. I just wanted to kind of start off with that snow from the last couple of days, just along and west of the Appalachians. And as I was saying just a little while ago, just take a look in and around the Cleveland area. This little patch east of Cleveland. We were talking on Sunday about Cleveland. If you want snow, you move and buy a house east of the city, or from the city east, and the amounts tail off as you go west. And this played out right to form. You can see that little patch of 18 inches just to the east of downtown Cleveland, and every bit of 8 inch or more snows going past Erie and into southwestern New York. And even on the west side of Cleveland, the snow was fairly substantial. Columbus getting about 3 to 4 in the middle part of the state, and also in the mountains in West Virginia. I drove through West Virginia yesterday evening, but I was up 81. And if you look closely, you can actually see the where 81 is with respect to the snow. So it was really just to the east of where the main snow band is, the mountains shielding the snow from coming on the east side. And then you go down into western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee around Johnson City. Knoxville didn't get anything, but in the mountains to the east, and also in the mountains north of Asheville, some small area getting 8 inches. And you can see the 1 inch accumulation line getting into those counties in North Georgia. where I was about a week or so ago. So uh, this particular storm, really did play according to form. Now, with respect to what's coming up, Where did I put it? Oh, where did it go? There it is. These are some of the early numbers that the Weather Service is putting down for whatever's going to happen Friday night to Saturday. Combination of a front coming through and weakening, and then a low that's coming out now. That's now down in the southern plains. So the initial digital forecast snow amounts aren't anything to write home about. They're all in the 1 to 2 with the occasional 3 inch amount. But I suspect that if we see these models continuing to trend in a more bullish fashion for snow, you're going to see these numbers increased tomorrow when those forecasts do come out. And just to take a look at some other places around the country, there is some snow going on in a small area from northern Texas, western Oklahoma, southern Kansas, where it's about a 1 to 3, 2 to 4 inch game for most of this particular area. This is the low that is coming out and moving on to the east. So why don't we go right to the models and take a look at what the story is, shall we? Surely.
Surely.
Yes. Okay, so this was the European from earlier today. And, one of the things is I try to emphasize the fact that when you're looking at weather models and you're looking from run to run, it isn't a simple matter of one run showing something and then the next run taking it away. Uh, the important thing is to understand what is going on in the upper atmosphere, because that at the end of the day is really the driver through all of this. And I just rolled it back. This is from Monday and Tuesday. You can see how the upper low drops down into the eastern part of the United States. This is the pattern we're in, and it's in a sort of wash, rinse, repeat mode, because the next weather system is going to behave in a similar fashion. The One thing that's a little different, though, with the second one, if you look at the position of the trough with the first one, it kind of lined up right along 85 degrees west. And it goes out. The trough position actually shifts a bit to the east with the second system, which right now has dropped down into the southern plains. I'll highlight it for you here, and that's this system down here. But also note, you've got this, developing jet to the north again. So there's going to be another short wave that's going to be dropping down from the north. And here it is on Friday. You've got one trough swinging through the Great Lakes. Your southern upper low splits in two. One piece comes out east, another one gets left behind in the southwest. And then when we get to Saturday, at least from the standpoint of the European, the northern and southern stream completely phase. And this is really important because it's that northern stream that's bringing down an injection of some cold air. It's not a lot of cold air, but it's enough that it might make a difference for some places with regards to rain going over to snow. And then, of course, the upper low gets wrapped up. And the interesting thing to me, Joe, is the fact that you've got these multiple streams in the jet stream, and this is always a forecast headache because you're having to figure out timing on two different sets of energy and whether they phase or don't phase, or how this energy behaves, as opposed to a pattern where everything is moving from west to east. And we run into the same problem on Monday because another low cuts off in the Ohio, down in Kentucky and Tennessee. Now this one, because as each one of these systems moves through the east, the trough position kind of shifts further east. So this one, the mean trough is actually going to be right along the coast, which means that more than likely nothing's going to be of consequence for us from that particular system. But it is interesting how each one of these kind of drives the trough position a little bit further to the east as each one goes by.
And Joe, interestingly, I was able to get the both the intermediate European, at least for precipitation, for the 18Z, and also the European for 12Z. I've centered them on 0Z Sunday or 7 p.m. on Saturday evening. And I
Okay.
thought you might want to check them out. I can
Yeah,
share this with
let
you.
me give you. I got you back up full screen here, so let me give you. Let me let you share. Um, okay, so see if you can share. If you want to share it on the screen, I just gave you. I just gave you permission to do that.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to. Okay, I'm gonna. This is gonna look weird for a few moments. Okay.
Okay.
Now, what do you see on this? What do you see on the screen right now?
Okay, I see the 84 and the new 78. The old 84.
This is the 12Z,
Okay, so the one on the
and this is
left is
the
the 12Z when the low. Now this is for the time. So the 84 hour was that was what, Saturday? Is that Saturday evening?
That's 7 p.m. Saturday, and they have the low in the Gulf of Maine.
And now on the new one, the low is just east of Montauk
Right,
with measurable precip showing all the way down into Delaware. And there's your blue line is your 540 line running
right.
right up down, well, west of the Hudson River into western New Jersey. So yeah, I mean that's a significant difference here. What's the pressure on that? I can't see what the pressure is on the.
The pressures are basically the same on the 12Z operational for this afternoon. It gave a central pressure for the storm of about 978 or 977, and here it's about, well, I'd say about 981. So basically, it's the same in terms of
But it's 12
pressure.
hours. But it's 12 hours later. I'm sorry.
It's
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 slower.
it's slower.
It's
Yes,
slower.
there's the same time frame, 7 o'clock on Saturday, except the intermediate or the newest run of the European places it just east, barely just east of Montauk, whereas the 12Z, the earlier run, had it up already near the Gulf of Maine. And as you can see, the 540 on the earlier run was already well past.
Well,
We were
because
already
the
into a
storm's in the
drying
Gulf,
trend
but
by
at this
then.
point it's long gone. The storm is out in the Gulf of Maine.
Yes,
Precip would have been long over with. This is a little bit of a different scenario because with a low at Montauk, you're still precipitating probably over a good chunk of the area to the west of it,
right,
and it's a
right.
fairly wrapped up low. It's going to be interesting to see what the NAM does tonight because the NAM has been in lockstep with the European for a number of runs now.
Well, we're still a few days away, and I'm sure that we're going to be seeing the models going back and forth, trying to exactly hone in on. Although you think about this now, this is Saturday evening, and usually it starts to become more refined or more accurate when we're within about 3 or 3.5 days of an event. So really, later tonight and tomorrow and Friday should finally pick up as to exactly the track and where this thing is going to go, which could have significant implications for some parts of the Northeast as to where this intensifying system is going to be going.
All right. Well, the European, if anything, is still, I guess, on this idea that it wants to phase. So we'll just have to wait. We'll just have to wait to see what the overnights do with this. But um, again, one of these models is going to be very wrong on all of this. And I'll show everybody, by the way, just from that standpoint. Let's look at the GFS because the GFS is the one that is different. I'll go through the European again, and this time around, I'll bring the tighter U.S. region into focus, and this way we can get a better view of how these troughs are interacting with each other. So this was. Let's roll it back because this is from the end of the week. I'm going to just have to give a minute here for the maps on tropical tidbits, which you can go see for yourself at tropicaltidbits.com. But this is what we just went through. European from this morning, that upper low getting out of the way finally. What a day today, by the way. We were so close. We had some breaks of sun here, but it went overcast this afternoon. It was really just sort of a kind of an um,
It was.
ugly afternoon. The typical early December day where all the leaves are down and it's gray and it's dark. So here's, of course, that lifts out. You see the next system now for Friday, and that northern stream energy is very well defined on the European, and then it phases together as it wraps up over Maine. Now, take a look at this for Friday, and then you look at the GFS. And the GFS is it's very simple. It's that northern stream energy and that southern stream energy never phase. It's the southern stream energy that stays pretty much separate. The north goes right by it on Friday, and then you have the southern energy that comes along and just acts on its own, and that really is the difference. It's how the models are playing on all this energy running around. When you've got three strong short waves like as we have here shown Friday night, the way the GFS has it. So here's Saturday morning, just to give you an idea. Just go to Saturday morning and I'm using the 18Z GFS, but you've got you've got this northern stream. You got this northern stream trough. Whoops, hold on. Let me get my little pen. And let me make sure everybody's seeing this, which they are. So, here's your northern stream trough. Here's your southern energy. Here's the other piece that's getting left behind down in Texas. And when we switch it over to the European, which I will do now, we'll just bring that up, and we'll go to the European for the same time frame.
Sorry about that.
And you can see the difference. I mean, that whole northern stream picks up the southern energy, and you get this kaboom. It's very loud kaboom.
Yes.
So, and by the way, just to translate this on pivotal weather, the European snowfall forecast has it actually gives me 2 inches on Long Island. It gives 2 to 4 across an area of northern New Jersey. Joe, if I put the cross near where I think your house is, it gives you 6. And anywhere from 9 to 13 across much of interior Connecticut, and 20 plus inch amounts up in New Hampshire and interior Maine. So it really goes kind of bonkers here. And well, the surface on the European, again, it's just going to be about this phase. If it happens, then it'll be a very interesting Saturday for many areas, particularly I think when you go north of New York City. But here's the surface Saturday morning, 993 low, and of course Joe showed you just earlier that by Sunday morning it's in Maine, and now of course we are apparently about 6 to 8 hours slower with this. Because by Saturday evening, the low is sitting southeast of Montauk as opposed to already have gone on up north of Cape Cod. So it'll be, I'm going to be, this is where I'm glad we're on daylight, on standard time, because the European will start at 1 o'clock in the morning. So if I feel inspired, I might stay up for it. It'll be the first one of the season that I will be staying awake for.
Timothy Felton says, speaking of kabooms, what about the oh, this is something that's not meteorological, but a more astronomical. What about the meteor sighting over Canada and resultant loud explosion sound over Syracuse? Any thoughts? And this is the first time I'm hearing about this. So I've not. I usually try to stay abreast of these things, but I've not heard about that. I didn't. When did this happen? Last night? This morning? I have no idea when what this. Probably was just an erratic or a chunk of debris, maybe about the size of a baseball or whatever, that came on through the atmosphere, and the maybe 30, 40 miles a second, and but it made a resultant loud explosion. That's interesting. That's like what happened about 5 years ago over Siberia. Remember that?
Yes, yes.
And it actually the explosion came like 3 minutes after the meteor sighting. I guess the sound waves are obviously slower than the speed of light, obviously. So it took a little time. And when that sonic boom, that loud explosion occurred, I think it shattered just about every window in every Siberian town where that thing appeared. Anyway, back to you, Joe. And
okay. Well, I'm not going quite into space, but at least I'm going to show you guys the stratosphere. For some reason, my computer's decided now to All right, now I seem to have gotten a little bit of control. Just want to point out that we continue to take a look at, we're watching this progress in the stratosphere, and uh, the changes that have been going on up there have translated down at the surface, obvious with the change that we've seen in the overall pattern. But one thing I would just point out is while looking at this today, of course, now the circle of death is going round and round and round and round. Come on, load
Wow.
already.
Wow. Hey, Joe,
Yeah.
I would, this is incredible. This fireball that appeared over the Niagara area. They had a shot. Tim Beltman sent me this. This was at 12:03 in the afternoon,
Do you have
and
the
you should
shot
be able,
there?
yeah. Let me.
See
Can
if
I
you can
share
do the
that?
screen share.
Hold on. I'm gonna do
Thank
this
you,
now.
Timothy Veltman, by the way.
This is rather amazing. Let's see. Sharing the screen, which I've done.
I'm not. Hang on, let me make sure I got this checked off right. Just a second. Yeah, it says you should be able to share it. We're not seeing it though.
Hmm,
Now, oh, wait. There you go.
there I am. Look at this. Boom. That
Whoa,
that was taken from the CN Tower in Toronto. Look what happens to the landscape. I mean, can you freaking believe this?
that's crazy.
That's, that's wow.
It's 2020.
Yeah,
It's 2020 in
2020.
all its magnificence.
Oh my God. That must have been a big.
By the way, if there's one reason for this, if there's one reason for this thing to phase and become a surprise snowstorm for some people, it would be because it's 2020. We can give a justification from
Yeah.
from uh, from
After I
from
already
that
made the
perspective.
declaration, after I made the declaration, it's going to be too warm for any significant snow. You watch. It's going to be one of those Gomer piles. Look out the window on
Right.
Saturday. Surprise! Surprise!
Surprise. Well, one of the things with the stratosphere, Joe, now that it looks like all the maps have loaded, so I can show you what's happening here. Of course, we've been talking about the migration of the polar vortex in the stratosphere from the shores of Siberia, where it was sitting for most of the month of November with that wrapped up tight ball, and you can see that it's become this sort of amorphous, more spread out scenario with troughing actually in the east. That trend continues, and in fact, on the 12Z run you're seeing the polar vortex actually moving on land into Greenland and almost into northern Canada there, oriented north south with a trough along the east coast. Now, I'm thinking that everything seems to be coupled. That would certainly argue for the weather pattern to hold that we've just gotten into to hang around for a while, and we've got a negative North Atlantic oscillation playing into the game, which I think is really important. It always makes models a lot more volatile and a lot more difficult to pin when it comes to what's going to happen. So it also NAOs don't like to last more than a few weeks most of the time. So maybe it'll last until middle December and then start to disappear again. I don't know, but it certainly looks like at least for the first half of the month, it's going to remain there. And well, we'll see. I'll bring up the surface map so you can take a look at what the GFS does with respect to the next system. And obviously, we don't have any issues to worry about. I also would caution when you look at the models in the long range, when you do have a negative NAO, it still likes to take storms up to the west, and they don't wind up doing that. So I would just be very skeptical beyond. We're having trouble figuring out the next 3 days, let alone trying to figure out whether the models are even close to reality for the next 7, 10, or 15 or 16 days from now. But as these maps attempt to load, I don't know, it's just having one of those nights tonight. There it goes. Okay, just takes a little bit of time. So let's roll back. So here's the GFS on the surface. Um, should have a decent day tomorrow, finally.
I
Uh,
think tomorrow will be a lovely day. Lots of sunshine, some thin clouds coming in the afternoon, but temperatures tomorrow, Joe, I think at least up here in the Hudson Valley, should get within a few degrees of 52. So tomorrow will be a good day if you have the time. If you're not working or whatever, you haven't done it yet, you want to get up some of those Christmas decorations outside. Tomorrow, I think, will be a lovely day to do it.
Yep. And then, of course, you see what happens with the low on Friday. I mean, outside of just a little, touch of uh, of blue on the northern fringe in a couple of spots, it really does nothing. Again, because the system doesn't phase to get that cold air that's sitting with that high in southeastern Canada from draining into that low. Then, of course, that goes out, and much of next week looks fairly quiet for a change, and then we'll have to see what happens after that. Again, I would just be really cautious about trusting a model that's sending lows to the lakes when you've got a negative, this negative NAO. The European and the GFS really went in different directions in the longer range. The European has a much colder look to it for the next 10 days, whereas the GFS kind of, carries it through about day 6 or so, and then brings a little ridging along the east coast temporarily, anyhow. And there you see it again. Wants to take a load of the lakes late in the forecast period. I would be highly suspect of this, and I'll bet anything that when we look at the next run, it'll be something
Oh,
completely different.
no question. No, absolutely no question. And in fact, I was mentioning to Renata, I was showing her last night, looking ahead to the time around when the meteor showers. Now, again, that's 2 weeks from now, now almost 2 weeks, and almost every run has something different. Last night, they had Joe on the 0Z for December 14th, the tightest wound up closed system 500 system up around the Great Lakes I've ever seen. And I said, where the heck did this come from? And you go a couple of runs
It's
earlier,
and
and
it's
what happened? They had like a ridge of high pressure over
right.
that same area. So it's crazy. It's going to change from one moment, one run to the next.
Right. I just brought up the NAO ensembles from overnight, and you can see they're all negative now, going negative and going actually strongly negative as you head into the mid-month. In fact, none of the members there's I think there's maybe one member that gets close to the neutral line toward the end of the forecast period. One of the things that's always struck me is one of the time frames to look for the potential for something for a storm is to watch for the time period where you go from a deeply negative teleconnection NAO, where it's very strongly negative, and then climbs rapidly up to the zero line. Usually at that point, I mean, it makes sense because it's telling you that there's a big pressure change going on somewhere, and in the North Atlantic, and that's a time frame you might want to pay attention to. And here I would say suggest maybe around the middle of the month, around the 16th, where some of them start to trend up toward the neutral line, but still on the negative side of neutral. But the bottom line is the NAO is negative here for the next couple of weeks. So we'll have to see whether we can, other pieces of the puzzle. The NAO is not the only skin in the game here. Let's see if I can get the AO.
Ayo, ayo,
Arctic
Arctic
oscillation.
oscillation. And I want to go home.
No, this is not the one I want.
I'll tell you
And
who's really burning. You talk about blast furnace conditions right now. The northern and western parts of Canada, like the Yukon and up Nunavut and whatever, they're way above normal. They're like, in terms of temperature, they're like 5 and 10 degrees Celsius above normal
mm-hmm.
so far. I mean, they really are heating up. This is quite a contrast to last year when all the cold air was bottled up in that area. It seems now like in northern and western Canada, it's anything but cold.
Well, here's the AO, the Arctic oscillation, which when it's negative, it means higher pressures across the Arctic region and cold air being displaced southward. And here again, most of the members on the ensemble are negative through the middle of the month. There are a couple of them that go positive toward the end toward that period, but still the vast majority of them are on the negative side of neutral. So you've got the AO, you've got the NAO. I haven't been able to find since they took away they got rid of that ensemble page, which was so easy. You just go there, you click on, I would click on the ESRL link, and I'd get all four of them. I can't seem to find the EPO. My suspicion is that the EPO is probably the one thing at the moment that is not synced up with with the NAO, or maybe the EPO is neutral, or perhaps it's even slightly positive, which might explain why we don't have a whole lot of Arctic air coming down into Canada and into the U.S. at least for now. That might change down the road, but I'm still digging around trying to find where they have the AO. I'm sorry, the EPO, the East Pacific Oscillation. But we'll just have to wait and see. All right, we've got winter storm warnings up for parts of Oklahoma and southern Kansas. We have some precip going on there. I got the Canadian satellite up tonight because I thought it was important to just take a look at, that northern stream is very important. You can see the old storm in the east lifting out, and then the ridge in the west. You can see how you have all this energy that's climbing up into northwest Canada, then it comes over the top, and then it dives southeastward from there. And this is where your northern energy is coming from. And of course, if you look at on the lower part of the screen near the center, you could see that southern stream that is doing its thing. And I'll bring the continental U.S. up so we can take a look at it from that perspective. And we'll give it a chance to load here. There we go. But there's your southern energy. That's a pretty, hefty, nice looking southern stream shortwave. But let's not understate the southern stream here, because it is going to be very important how much of the shortwave comes out and how much of it gets left behind. And then, of course, you've got the northern energy, which is not quite into view yet. That's going to be the other player here. So definitely something that we're going to have to pay attention to. The radar tonight, give it a refresh. And the Northeast seeing a little bit of snow I'm assuming that's snow up in northern Maine. And also you're seeing the snow that's back through parts of Kansas and Oklahoma, rain in eastern Kansas, eastern Oklahoma, through Arkansas down into Texas. Otherwise, the rest of the country is dry. The whole west is dry. The southeast up and down the east coast pretty dry. So looking good there. And the WPC folks, we can look at their numbers. The rainfall, the liquid that's being indicated by WPC, purple is 1.5 inches. So they've got the western edge of 1.5 inches from Philadelphia to just west of New York City to just north of you. And of course, all of southern and southern, southeastern, and central New England with 1.5 inches or even 2 inches of liquid. Some precip along the Gulf Coast and in the Pacific Northwest. And of course, we're seeing the front end loaded precip that's going on now in Oklahoma and eventually moving into Missouri and Kansas. But the vast majority of the plains, the western lakes, the southwest, showing no precipitation for the next 7 days. So it's pretty quiet in that part of the universe.
Well, the folks over at the Climate Prediction Center, if you remember, I said a few days ago that by the time we get to late in the weekend and into the first part of next week, much of the country is going to have below normal precipitation, according to their long range outlook. It looks like that's going to indeed be the case. And again, the only ones who are going to be spanked, so to speak, will be us Friday night and into the beginning of this upcoming weekend. We'll see how it all plans out. And Izzy D, thank you so much for hitting super chats tonight.
The chairman is, I know he was on earlier, but I believe he's on COVID runs again tonight. So
I have questions that have been provided by the chairman, and this is in your honor, Joe. The questions are in honor of your trip, your recent trip down south.
okay, real quick, Joe, just to let you know, Caribou, Maine tied their all-time December through February high temperature of 59 on at noon, hit 60. This was yesterday, so
Now,
on
didn't we talk
December
about that?
1st. So
We talked about that. That was a Briller Jeopardy question, wasn't it?
yeah, so they got to 60 for a
Yeah.
new record high for the period from December 1st to February 28th. So yes, he has to revise Briller Jeopardy answer from yesterday because the records there go back to 1939.
Right.
So
I think I took a wild guess and said 64. So I'm wondering, I was still wrong, but I'm at least a degree closer.
yes. Okay, so go ahead, shoot.
All right. So in honor of your trip down south to Georgia,
I
category
had to drive 900 miles south to see snow, but yes.
Georgia on my mind. Question one: what is the highest elevation in Georgia?
Oh my! I mean, I got to think it's got to be between 3,000 and 4,000 feet.
The highest elevation is Brasstown Bald. You
No,
ready for
that's
this?
one consonant. That is one
Four.
consonant away from being a good joke.
Yes, 4,784
Wow.
feet.
Yeah, there are some pretty hefty tops up there in North Georgia. I mean,
Yeah.
where I was, every bit of some 2,500 feet above. So, and there were mountains that I could see that were well higher than that. So, yeah, I'm not shocked.
Okay. Here's question number
Excuse
two.
me.
That's okay. The biggest one-day snow total in Georgia occurred in two different counties. Name one for credit.
I'll say Union County.
New Jersey? No.
No, Union County in North Georgia,
Well,
because that's one of the
unfortunately,
northern counties.
well, but it's not the one that got the. It was one of
Gilmer
the.
County.
No,
Um, Gee, I don't know all the there. There's so many. Yeah, there's so many counties up there in North Georgia. I don't know.
one county is Etowah,
Okay.
Etowah,
I did drive through Etowah County, yes,
and Murray County.
and Murray County.
Yes,
Okay.
and the storm in question. Now I'm losing my voice. The storm in question is the superstorm of 93,
93.
20 inches
Yeah, I
on
was
the.
gonna say probably up around 20. Yep.
And here's question number three. What was the coldest temperature ever in the state of Georgia and within 8 degrees or within eight for credit?
I'll say minus. I'll say -5.
Well, you missed. Minus 17.
Wow. Yeah. Again.
That was in Chatsworth, Georgia.
Chatsworth. Yeah, if you get something that comes down a cold air mass that drives southward and goes west of the Appalachians, you know, you get the core of that cold air. You say what year that was?
He did not give the year. He just gave the value and
Maybe
he
it
gave
was
it.
in January of '77.
It might have been. Hey, look, it snowed in Miami briefly
Mm-hmm.
in '77. So why not? Uh, this is the bonus question, and this question is worth a foot of snow in your mailbox. Ready?
All right.
In 1882, Atlanta had a white Christmas. It would be a long time, five five longs before they had another. It happened in our lifetime, your lifetime and my lifetime. What year was it? The
Uh,
last white Christmas in Atlanta.
the last white Christmas in Atlanta. Hold on, I just lost your screen here. I lost our screen here. Hang on one second.
Whoa.
Let me bring that back. Hang on a moment. Where are you?
It might be because I'm floating out here in space.
Yeah, what did you do? Did you touch something?
I didn't touch anything.
Yes, you did.
I did not touch a darn thing.
Hold
And
on.
I'm running behind you, and I can see
Where are
somebody.
you? I'm trying to find this. Hang on a second.
I see something said from Adam Keston.
Uh, that's my buddy Adam.
Ah,
Hold on. Hold on a second here. Oh, good lord. Where did your
well, you don't need the video to answer the
All right,
question, Jim.
repeat the question because I was so focused on getting this back working again.
In 1882, Atlanta had a white Christmas, and it would be a long time before they had another. And as has happened in your lifetime and in my lifetime, what was the last year that Atlanta had a white Christmas?
I will say, oh, oh God, I don't know. I will say, oh, there you go. Uh, 19.
Do you want me to say if you're right or wrong with the 19?
Oh, because it might be 20. It was in the 20s.
I will tell you that it is a 20.
It's a 20. I'll say 2013.
Missed by 3. It's 2010.
2010. All right.
Yes. So there you
Well,
go.
that was a year where we had a super negative NAO for almost 2.5 months.
Well, that'll do it, won't it?
That would have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he also put in the comment, please tell your lovely wife, I suppose that's mine, please tell your lovely wife that Briller Jeopardy requests the honor of her presence on Sunday as being an excellent guest host for Cooking Duties, Cooking Volume 2
Oh
on
God.
Sunday.
I'm not playing. I may make sauce on Sunday,
Okay.
so that's a possibility. I might make sauce. So that could happen.
All right.
I'm sorry. I'm having a little bit of technical issues here. I'm desperate to try to solve them, but I did manage to get us back on the screen, but my computer is just being evil tonight. So all right. So maybe we'll do a little cooking on Sunday.
Yes.
All right, so look, let's wrap it up. Thank you everybody for being here. Patreon members, I'm going to put the link up to Zoom. So if you want to join the live weather Zoom, we'll start it at 9 o'clock. So I will open the waiting room and let you in, but we'll get it underway at 9 o'clock. And I'm also going to record it so that if you can't attend, you can maybe want to look back later because we'll hopefully be able to take a look at the new NAM as it comes out. And of course, the Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware, 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, just north of the Southern State Parkway, for all your winter storm supplies. From rock salt to mag ice belting pellets and flakes, Petalo Premium Snow and Ice Melter, Biomelt, Geomelt, and much more. 631-756-1125, or you can go to the website omnitruevalue.com. Best prices in town, serving much of the New York City tri-state area. So there.
So there.
Okay, so the big mystery tomorrow will be to phase or not to phase. That is the question, and we'll figure it out. All
I'm
right.
sure we will. I hope we'll figure it out because
Go.
it's just we're getting down to the nitty gritty now. We're getting
Yeah.
too close to the actual event, so we should have an answer tomorrow.
It's the ones that happen in late November and early December are just incredibly challenging to forecast. They're all challenging, but these are especially challenging when you're kind of dealing with do-it-yourself marginal cold air and one little change in the atmosphere and suddenly you got a problem. So we'll see how it
Okay.
goes. All right, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Good night,
Okay.
everybody. Thanks for being here.